On the afternoon of January 16th, 2025, I found out while scrolling aimlessly through social media that American filmmaker David Lynch had passed away. I never met David Lynch. I could never stake claim to any real grief regarding someone that I didn't know. My relationship with Lynch was one-sided. Less than that, it was only a relationship with his work and maybe public persona, the image of David Lynch, a character. So what was I crying about? I want to begin by saying that there isn't any single person in my life who had more of an impact on my work and personal philosophy on art than David Lynch. When I think of the idea of an artist, no one fits that mold better than he did. For so long, I just wanted to be him. It wasn't just his work that spoke to me, but his passion for it. Anyone who knows me knows how much the man's body of work has always motivated me to be a better artist. At first, I suspected my feelings had something to do with never getting to see a new David Lynch movie, but I had long accepted that before his passing. The world just got a little dimmer after January 16th. My first proper introduction to David Lynch was his 1977 film, Eraserhead. I had just moved closer to the city after deciding that I wanted to make a name for myself as a musician. I was 18 or 19. Some friends came over one night to watch the movie after we'd heard how strange it was. It was just something that sounded interesting on a night with nothing better to do. The rain was only just heavier than mist, but still heavy enough to make the cold air almost unbearable. We sat on my futon that was centered in the room as one of few personal belongings, including my bed and my remarkably fitting for the space 32-inch TV. The wind was audible through the glass sliding door to the balcony where I would often smoke. I can't say that I completely understood how I felt when the movie ended, but for the next few days, it was all that I could think about. Eraserhead stuck with me after that, like a recurring dream that you know must mean something, but the mystery persists unsolvable. It wouldn't be until I first watched Twin Peaks, about a year removed from my initial viewing of Eraserhead, that I was finally captivated by David Lynch. Considering the original run in the 90s, the prequel film Fire Walk With Me, and The Return in 2017, Twin Peaks is Lynch's biggest work. I had always heard that it was special and worth watching, so when one of my friends asked if I'd watch it with them, I was just curious enough to agree to that commitment of 3 seasons and a movie. Over the span of a couple of months, we watched Twin Peaks whenever we could, and eventually finished it. I was so moved by so much of Twin Peaks, but had few words to elaborate on those feelings. I spent almost as much time on discussion and analysis of Twin Peaks as I spent on the show itself. I looked behind the scenes, watched the David Lynch documentary, The Art Life, and of course sought after his other films. That period of my life drew me so much deeper into art. I started treating my own work differently. Up to that point, I was frequently concerned about not being good enough yet. I figured I was waiting until I was ready or was given the right opportunity, but really I was scared. I was scared that people wouldn't see my work the way that I did. I was scared of wasting my creative efforts while I lacked the resources to produce at the same quality as other more successful artists. David Lynch taught me that the process was second to the idea. He showed me that budget wasn't necessary to create meaning. His work pushed me to create for creation's sake, because it's the best thing there is. I didn't need to meet any expectations because I was already good enough.
Did I ever tell you that this here jacket represents a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom?
I remember when Robin Williams died. It was the first time I think I felt lost for someone that I didn't personally know. It was strange. I was young and had only known Robin Williams as a source of positive energy in the world. His death, however, transformed how I saw him, from a cartoon character to a real fragile human person. The real Robin Williams was someone I would never know, but I still grieved for the character. Perhaps we all felt as though we owed him for the joy he offered us over the years. He didn't ask us to, but we grieved because he meant something to us, even if we didn't know him. In high school, I started listening to more indie music with my friends and made a full-time job of developing my personal taste. I was in the process of discovering what kind of art was out there for me, and one day a friend sent me a recommendation for an album I'd never heard of. Hi, How Are You by Daniel Johnston. I listened to it for the first time in geometry class, with my hoodie on my head and only one earbud in. To say that it was unlike anything else I'd ever listened to would be a massive understatement. His work mainly consists of cassette tape recordings that don't sound particularly polished, but are exploding with honesty and reveal as perfect a painting of emotion as I thought possible in song. I had been playing guitar and piano for a couple of years by then, but hearing that album on that day made me wonder why I had never tried writing my own songs. Probably the most important singular moment of inspiration I've ever felt. If there is any other artist that I admire as much as David Lynch, it would be Daniel Johnston. And in 2019, he died. Without Daniel Johnston, I never would have written my first song. Without David Lynch, I would have given up on art a long time ago. I don't know if the art life has been too kind to me, but these strangers helped me find my truth. If you're going to do this, it needs to be because you love it. Without them, I would have never known how much I really do love it. Daniel Johnston lived a difficult life. Anyone could tell you that people tend to over-romanticize the idea of the tortured artist. There's no shortage of dead artists who lived difficult lives. If you took that at face value, you could falsely gather that great art requires suffering, or that suffering is the price that they paid for their work, their sacrifice. I think I believed this for a long time too. I wasted so many years believing that my art would suffer if I allowed myself to be at peace, but Daniel Johnston didn't write great work because he suffered. Daniel Johnston wrote great work in spite of that suffering. I hope he knew that. David Lynch was a lifelong proponent for transcendental meditation. I'm still not completely sure what that means, but he believed in it and claimed it brought him peace. He did not believe that suffering made him a better artist. Lynch once said of the painter Vincent van Gogh, "I don't think it was pain that made him so great. I think his painting brought him whatever happiness he had." If art is only a side effect of pain, then your choice is between be an artist or be happy. I must have had an almost adversarial relationship with art. I was fighting it because I thought it was my curse. What a childish way to think. It's thanks to David Lynch that I still create it all, because I would have either killed the dream or the dream would have killed me. It has been said before that people will die two deaths. The first when their body dies, and again when someone speaks their name for the last time. Some version of David Lynch is effectively still with us, existing in the minds of every fan that has ever been moved by his work and in the hearts of every artist he manages to inspire. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to affect even one person with my work the same way that Lynch affected me. When David Lynch made the 2017 series Twin Peaks: The Return, he clearly had death on his mind. Many of his friends and longtime collaborators were getting old, and some of them passed away during the production, or shortly thereafter. Miguel Ferrer, Catherine E. Coulson, and even David Bowie. Coulson, playing her Twin Peaks character, Margaret Lanterman, days before her real-life passing, delivered the line,
You know about death, that it's just a change, not an end.
With art, we might hope to better understand life. When an artist dies, some grief does belong to everyone who that artist affected. I hope I did that grief justice, and I hope David Lynch knew how many people would feel it. Thank you, David Lynch.
Your picture is still on my wall, on my wall. The colors are